This video we will talk about the frequency distribution and the histograms. The third objective is the categorical frequency distributions. So let's consider this example. The rates of 20 students in a statistic class are shown below. We want to construct a frequency distribution table for the following data: A, B, C, B, A, D, D, and so on. Now, this is not a number, right? These are the letters. So we want to count the frequency for each of the rate. So for the letter rate A, we want to count how many A that we have, how many C, how many B, and so on. So first, we need to store the given data in Excel. So you can pick any column, and we just simply type all the given rates in Excel. So we just type A, C, B, A. You just type A, C, B, A, and so on. You just type everything you see here directly into one column. Okay. Now we will type the calorie in another column. So we will type the rates and then the frequency. This is what we are looking for. Now we see that the rates, there are A, B, C, D, and F. So we know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calories. So we just have to know what are the frequencies for each of the rate that we see here. So we'll use Excel to count how many letter A that we have, how many letter B that we have, and so on. Which function do we use here? Well, we'll use a function called COUNTIF function. COUNTIF is to count how many rates of each type, and then we store them in another column, and this is the results that we want to see. So let me just redo it here. So I type A, C, B, A, D, D, C, B, A, B, D, C, F, A, B, C, and B. So these are just the raw data. And then I also want to type one column. I call this is the rate column, and this is the frequency, because we want to count how many of them: A, B, C, D, and F. Okay. So we click on the formula tabs. And then now let's say I want to count the frequency for the rate A. I click on the formula tabs. I choose the insert functions. And then from there, there's a box for us. And we select statistical. And we choose the function COUNTIF. Okay. And after we select that, we get the box. This function is the function COUNTIF. So it takes in the input for the range and the criteria. So for the range, you simply highlight everything here. You drag them in here. And then for the criteria, because I'm looking for how many value of A, so I type in the letter A. All right. And then I just see the results right away. So we have 5 of the letter A. And click OK. All right, we can try that now. So I want to count how many A that I have from this list. I go to Formula. I insert the function. I choose Statistical, and then I scroll down. I use the COUNTIF functions. I click OK. The range would be all of my raw data. And the criteria, I want to count A. So I insert A. So make sure you have the double columns here. And sorry, this is double prime. So you open it and then you close it, and then the result is 5, and you just click OK here. And then the same thing here, and same thing here. You can repeat the same process, and you change it to B, right? So go to Insert Functions, and then go to Statistical, and go to Count If, and then I click on the data set here, and then I want B. So I open and close the double prime and B, and there should be 5B. So that check 1B, 2B, 3, 4, and 5. And then you just keep doing that. And that is how you count the frequency for categorical data set. Next, we'll talk about the quantitative frequency distributions. So let's consider this example. The ages of 20 dogs in a pet shelter are sold. Construct the frequency distribution using 7 classes. So we are given a number of the classes that we need to construct. So these are the value, the number, or the ages of the 20 dogs. So 5, 8, 7, 6, 3, and so on. And now these are the steps. First, you need to enter the raw data in one column. So usually, if you are given a data set, we want to enter the data set into Excel in one column first. One number for one cell only. And now you click on the data, click on Data Analysis, and then select the histogram. I'll show you this step by step soon. And then you input the range. The range would be all the data value. And then for the bin range, you wanna type the upper class limit. So because this is the frequency distribution table of quantitative data, we will have the lower and the upper limit. So let's discuss a more detailed steps here. Before we can construct the table, we should find the class width. The class width is equal to the max value minus the mean value from the data set, and then divide by the number of the classes. Looking at all of these values, the maximum value should be number 9, and then the mean value should be number 3. So I subtract the max to the mean, and then divide by the number of the classes. The problem says using 7 classes, so divide by 7. This is 0.857, and we usually round up the class width to a convenient number. In this case, let's just say 1, because 1 is close to 0.85. And then we choose the value for the first lower class limit. Okay, we start by choosing the value for the class limit. And usually we pick the mean value. The mean value from this set of data is 3, right? So we start with 3, and we know the class width is 1. We just keep adding 1 to get to the next lower class. Adding 1, adding 1, adding 1. Okay, until we get 7 classes. Right? So now for the upper class, we do not want it to overlap with the next lower class limit. So this is 4. So the upper class limit for the first class, we don't want this number to be 4. So we will go from 3 up to 3.99. You don't want that to be identical to number 4, which is the next lower class limit. And then that's why I have 3.99, and then I add 1, I get 4.99, 5.99, and so on. Okay, and that is how we construct the lower and upper class limits. And then after that, we will draw the histogram of that. Alright, so let's see the Excel steps. Okay, so first thing is we input the raw data. These are the raw data, right? The one from this number here. So I enter that into a column. And then I go to the data tab. I click on data analysis, and then I choose the histogram. I click OK. So let me try that on Excel now. Alright, so these are the raw data. Okay, these are the raw data. Let me just label this with data. Now I need another column. Let's call the upper class limit, upper class, which is the value that we have here. Remember, this is 3, this is 4. So the upper class limit of the first one would be 3.99. I don't want that to overlap with the next one, which is 4. So I keep 3.99. And then I know the class width is 1. So the next one would be plus 1, 4.99, 5.99, 6.99, 7.99, 8.99, 9.99. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 classes already, so I can stop here. Alright, so now let's go back here. I click on the data tab, and then I see the data analysis. Click on that, and you choose the histogram. Click OK. The input range, that would be the data column. So I highlight all the data column. Now, very important, the bin range. This one is the column for your upper class limit that you just type in here. So drag it in here for the bin range. And then for the output range, you can select any places that you want to display the value. So maybe I scroll down over here, I select a place that I want the answer to be displayed. And I just simply hit OK. And you can see it tells you the frequency distribution for your data. And you can also rename the bin. So you just have to click on each bin and add the lower class limit. So I know that this one is 3.99, but then the lower class limit would be 3, right? 3. So I can just type 3 to 3.99. That will be my first lower class limit. And this one would be 4 to 4.99. And then I will do the same thing here. 5.99, and 6.99, 7.99, and 8.99, and 9 to 9.99. And that is my frequency distribution table. Alright, the next topic would be the histogram. Histogram is constructed by drawing rectangles for each class of data. The height of each rectangle is the frequency or the relative frequency of the class, and the width of each rectangle is the same, and the rectangles touch each other. And the label of the explanatory variable, or the x-axis, the x variable, is placed on the horizontal axis with the variable value under the center of the rectangle. So using the same example, right, the raw data, the one that we just went over. Now, in the last steps, we did not click on the checkbox here for the charts output. If you check that, then you will get the histogram. Okay, if you do that, you will get the histogram. So let's go back on Excel. We can redo it. Again, this is the data. This is the upper class. You need the upper class. Okay, so let's go to data analysis. Again, choose histogram, click OK. We have everything is okay now. We want to check the charts output and click OK. Actually, let's choose another. We want to choose another location, maybe over down here, so that they don't overlap. So click OK. And I think I forgot to click the jobs. Yeah, let's do it one more time. So data analysis, Histogram. Okay, the output range. Click over here and click OK. It's right here. Yep. Yeah, it's moving all the way up here. So your histogram is here. And we actually have a few of them. So yeah, let me just drag them back down here. So this is your histogram. So you just check the jobs output and you see the histogram display. And then for the histogram, you can right click on the bar, select the format data series, and you can move the bar to each other, right? You can put the gap width to be 0 so that all the bar stay connected together. So if I click on, just simply click on the rectangle, right click, format data series, and then the gap width, you see the gaps between the rectangles, that just makes it 0%. And now they are connected to each other. So that is the histogram we want. You can also add the data value for each bar. Right, you can also do that. You can click on them, right? Click on the bar, any of them, right click, add data label. Okay, or you can select all of them, or just like go out and then click back on any of them and add the data label. And let me just delete it again. Okay, click outside, click inside, and then add data label. And then you see that we have 2 here, 4, and then so on. And you can also change the axis, right? The X and the Y axis too, by selecting the layout tab, and you can change the axis titles, the primary horizontal axis title, and so on. Now let's go back here. I think this is the, which one? I think this is the pin I have over here, right here. So if I change this, like from 3 to 3.99, then you see the reflection right here. And this is 4 to 4.99. So between 3 and 3.99, I have 2 values. Between 4 and 4.99, I have 2 values. And you can click here, you can name it, right? You can name whatever the value that you want. You can name it, X and the frequency, the title, you can change the ref label, and so on. Now next, we'll also talk about the relative frequency distribution after we learn about the frequency distribution. Relative frequency is just the ratio of the number of times a value of data occurs in the set of all the outcomes to the total number of the outcomes. So we just simply take the frequency of the class divided by the total. So find the sum of all the frequencies by using the function sum. The function sum will add everything to get you the total value, and then divide each value of the frequency by the sum. Now let's just use the same example we just talked about in the last example. So we learned that the frequency was this column and the bin, right? This is the upper class limit. Okay, so now if I use a sum, I want to add all the sum of this frequency column. I use the equal sum, and then I highlight all the frequency. Then I get the sum of 20. So now we can actually try to get the value over here. So maybe I can do it down here. So let's try that. So I want to get, this is the regular frequency. Now I want to get the relative frequency. I want to get a relative frequency. So I type relative frequency, I label it. You can expand the column out. And we need to find a sum. We need to find a total. The total. So I use equal the sum function, open parenthesis, and I want to add everything from the frequency column, close. So this is my sum. Now, the relative frequency is just the division between the frequency to the total. So I press equal, I press frequency, divide by the total. It's 20. It's 20. Right? Or you can just type 20. Okay. And you hit enter. And then you want the same thing for the other value. So I can use the same formula. I just drag the column down here, all the way down here. Now the reason that we get the error here, because anytime you are moving down by 1 unit, right? Then if you click on here, the numerator, it goes down by 1 unit to the next one. We want that, yes. But then the denominator, they are also moving down to another unit. But then we don't have anything down here. So we don't want this number to change. We only want the numerator, which is the value here, 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 or here, is moving down. But not the value, because we only have one cell over here. We don't want that to move. So if you don't want that to move, you just simply enter the dollar sign in front of the number, before the letter and the number. And that will fix, that will keep the value of 20 fixed. No matter what you have down here, it will keep one value only. So now let's drag the formula down again. And now we have the value, because every number on the left is always dividing by 20, which is D60 with the dollar sign in between. So it keeps this value 20 to be a fixed value. It won't move the cell on here, on this side to the one below it. And you can also get the percentage, right, by multiplying by 100. You can also multiply by 200 if you want that to be the percentage. But usually we keep it as the decimal value. And then next one, we'll talk about the cumulative frequency distribution. Cumulative frequency distribution is a distribution that shows the number of the data values less than or equal to a specific value, and usually an upper boundary. Let's just use the same example about the age of the 20 dogs again. We have this table. We have been doing that for a couple of examples by now. Now, if you want to construct a cumulative frequency distribution, we can check the options inside a histogram. You can check the cumulative percentage options and click OK. And that will give you the cumulative frequency distribution. And let's try it over here. So this is our data chart again, and the upper class limit. So let me go to data analysis, histogram, click OK. I have everything. Now the output, I want to get the cumulative percentage instead. And then for the output range, let's just let's go to another empty spot. Maybe here. Okay. So you see that we have the frequency we also have the cumulative frequency. So 10%, 30%, 50, and then at the last one would be 100, because after everything, when you add up everything, it should be equal to 100. And that is how you construct the cumulative frequency distribution.